Welcome to Prestige Worldwide, the podcast, a weekly battle of wits, debating everything from horseshoes to hand grenades, all for the privilege to be called right. And now, your host, Travis.
Hey guys, welcome to Prestige Worldwide, the podcast. I am your host, Travis, and I thank you for joining me once again. Welcome to a new episode. I'll get to that in a second. I want to talk a little bit about what I watched last night. My wife, Mandy, she is finishing up her master's program for her profession, and she doesn't spend a whole lot of time at home right now because she's interning as well as her full-time job, so I don't get to see her very much. So whenever she, wants to watch a movie that I don't necessarily want to watch or TV, it's fine with me. I can dick around on my phone. I can do whatever. But last night she asked me to watch 50 Shades Darker, the new or the second 50 Shades of Grey movie. And we've already talked about on this podcast how I've watched the first one. So I was like, all right, whatever. Sure. Let's watch the second one. I will do this for you because I guess I love her. I don't know. But so we sat down to watch this movie, and I will say that most of the time I was on my phone. I tuned in sporadically when I thought there was going to be nudity, because really that is the only reason I have found to watch those movies, because of the tits and the ass. But this one was particularly bad. This movie, goddamn. I don't know if the first one was this bad and I just don't remember it, and I was just, again, dicking around on my phone. But man, the writing and the delivery of these stupid fucking lines were terrible, and Mandy was eating it up. I don't understand. She even knows that how terrible this movie is. I said, I said to her at one point, like, you realize how bad this is, right? She said, yeah, but I still enjoy it. I said, okay, that's fine. Just as long as you understand it, because I have a tendency to make jokes during these movies because it's the only way I can get through them. And I started to get the sense that, maybe she wasn't getting that it's that terrible. But man, it is a terrible movie. And I couldn't get past it. And then I started thinking about like why she may like this, or why she can tolerate it at least. And I think it really comes down to this movie and this 50 Shades story. Because the guy, if you're not familiar with it, I'm not going to go into what it is, but really the guy is just a control freak. And it's all about how the girl doesn't want to put up with his controlling ways, so she tries to change him, and she does change him, at least up to this point. And I think that's the microcosm of why women like this movie, or these books, because every woman thinks that they can change the guy, the guy that's successful and attractive, but has this one little flaw where he likes to beat the shit out of women, but they can change him. So as I'm watching this, I'm just I'm mortified as to why anybody wouldn't just be like, this guy's a piece of shit. Why am I spending any kind of time with him? But I don't know. Mandy ate it up. She liked it. I think, at least. I know there's going to be another one. Hopefully it's the last one. I'm sure I'll watch that one, and I'm sure it'll be really terrible, just like the first two. So let's move on a little bit to what today's episode's about. And I'm going to call this one Millennial Falcon, the episode, because I'm fascinated with all the articles. If you've seen articles around, millennials are killing. That's usually the first headline, and then whatever it is afterward. I went through a list. Millennials are killing everything, apparently. Motorcycles, bars of soap, vacations, wine corks. They're also killing, I really liked marmalade. They're killing marmalade. God forbid something happens to our precious marmalade. I will be honest with you, I'm not 100% sure what the difference between jelly and marmalade is. I think there's fruit in marmalade, like actual chunks of fruit, but I'm not 100% sure. And you know what? I know I could look it up. I just don't care. So if millennials are killing marmalade, I guess we'll pour one out for marmalade at some point. But anyways, I'm going through this list of all these things that millennials are killing. And so I wanted to look into some of these articles and see if millennials are actually killing these industries. So the first one that kind of jumped out at me, because I'm a drinker, millennials are killing beer. And if that's true, I'm heartbroken because I don't want to kill beer. I love it. So I started reading this article and it's going in about how millennials are drinking much more than just beer now. They're preferring wine and liquor and I guess less beer. However, the statistic that they use to prove their point that millennials are killing beer is that the beer sales were down 1% from 2016 to 2017. Yeah, that's 1%. That's killing a whole industry of beer? I don't think so. I'm pretty sure that's... I don't know. I feel like that's well within the margin of error. But that's just me. I don't know. I don't do statistics for my for my job. So maybe that is a big deal. But they expect the decline in 2017 to be 0.7%. So it's not going to be as bad as the great beer decline of 2016, but it's going to be pretty bad out there, folks. You might want to start stocking up on your Natty Lights because who knows, millennials just may kill this. I fear for our future when we can't get our craft brands of beer because the industry has taken such a fucking hit. I mean, it's maddening. I really think this is going to be like the gas shortages of I think the 70s, where there's going to be lines around the corner at your local craft brewery to get just one sip of that pure nectar that is craft beer. I read through all this entire article about how millennials are killing beer. And while I say entire article, it's like 5 paragraphs long because you can't support your argument when it's 1%. So if you're hearing out there that millennials are killing beer, I don't think that's true. So there's hope for humanity again. There we go. So then the other one that I was looking at is millennials are killing college football. All right, so millennials are killing college football. That doesn't seem right to me, but all right, I'll read the article. Millennials are killing college football. And the whole article is really about how expensive sport events have become. And again, we've talked about this in the podcast before, nothing new, but apparently it's college sports that they're focusing in on this at this point. But as a generalization, all live sports are expensive. There's no getting around that. I mean, between ticket prices, traveling to the game, parking, food, beer, unless you're a millennial, because then you're not drinking it, or even sodas. Sodas are goddamn expensive. Waters are fucking expensive at these live sporting events. But that's not a problem with millennials. That's a problem with raising prices and gouging your fan base. Again, Bobo and I have talked about going to live sports, and while I still do it every once in a while, I go to a Penguins game, I'll go to a Steelers game, but I typically, when it comes to football, I'll only go if it's kind of a special thing for, maybe my dad or my brother or something like that. It's something we can go and do together, and that kind of makes it special and worth it. When I go to live Penguins games, Pittsburgh Penguins games, those ones I actually really enjoy. It's a completely different experience live than it is on TV. The first time we went, myself and my wife Mandy, the first time we went, about, I don't know, like 3 minutes into the game, she was like, "Well, where are the announcers?" And I was like, well, you can't hear them because they're not announcing the game over the loudspeaker. It's really just for on TV. And so I think the first time she kind of had a difficult part with that. However, now she claims, I think I've spoiled her to watch hockey games live because now, when I want to sit down and watch a hockey game on TV, she's like, nah, I'd rather go see it live. Which is good for me because that just means we can go to more games. So there's a whole different aspect to going to see a live sporting event, especially in this case, hockey. And there's a camaraderie about it. Listen, I can sit next to somebody that I have nothing in common with at all in my life. But there's this one thing that all of a sudden makes us friends for those 2 hours or whatever it is. Or makes us the same in this crazy world. So I like it. However, I understand it's expensive. And maybe millennials aren't going as much. That's fine, but it's not their fault. They are the consumer. If you want to bring them in, give us more deals. Have more liquor, apparently. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is to get. I do know what the answer is. Make it fucking cheaper. You want people to come back? You want millennials to come back? Make it cheaper. They'll be back. I swear to God, you lower those ticket prices and those concession prices, and the next articles would be millennials are saving live sporting events because they will. I don't think the interest isn't there anymore to go there. I think people are just choosing to not spend their money at a ridiculously overpriced live sporting event. So again, millennials really aren't killing this. Just like they're not killing beer, they're not killing live sporting events. Then I got to an article about millennials are ruining the workforce. All right. So I'm curious, how are millennials killing the workforce? Because that could be a problem, I guess. So I started reading this article, and I swear to Christ, I got, 5 paragraphs in, and it was literally nothing but this lady just shitting on millennials for, the whole article started off with her shitting on millennials for naming their kids weird names. She was talking about how she read it, she was trying to read another article, one she hadn't written, about how millennials are raising their children, but it mentioned the children's names, and that pissed her off so much she couldn't get past the first paragraph. I'll let that sink in for a second. She couldn't get past the first paragraph of an article that she was interested in because millennials, in this case, were naming their kids weird names. When I'm reading this article, it sounds so much like an old man just screaming, "Get off my lawn." Are you really that pissed off about names of kids? And I mean, she really goes on about how there are so many options for names, and but how this choice for a kid is going to ruin this kid's life. The names are Astral and Defy. Defy. So I think that's Defy. I don't know. But Astral and Defy have bleak futures in the mind of this writer now because their names are so weird. And the names are a little weird, but who gives a shit? I can honestly tell you, I don't think there's ever been a time that I have changed anything about an interaction with a person because of their name. I mean, we all have exes or maybe people in our lives that were just dickheads. And you always do that game where like you're trying to think of names for your kids. You're like, no, can't do that. That was a shitty ex-girlfriend or ex-boyfriend or whatever. So we have that kind of, but I've never interacted with a person and be like, nope, not going to like you, not going to work with you. I don't want to hear anything you have to say because your fucking name is weird. I'm at a loss for just the first part of this article. And again, I will state, this article is about millennials killing the workforce. We haven't even gotten to that part yet. And to be honest with you, in this article, we never really get to that point. She starts talking about. We moved on from the millennial naming, and she starts talking about her being in her office, and I guess they have an office or an area where they have all of like the newspapers. They aptly call it the newspaper table. So I guess she was reading the New York Times, and an intern passed and said, "What are you looking for?" And she said, "What am I looking for? Nothing. I'm just reading the newspaper." And the intern was like, "Oh." And that's the end of the interaction as she wrote it. But then she goes on to be like, "Well, I've never felt so old because I'm reading the newspaper." Well, yeah, listen. Millennials do not read the newspaper much anymore. I don't read the newspaper. I've never had a subscription to a newspaper in my life. And I probably never will. I don't see a reason to. It's a waste of paper, in my opinion. I can get the same news online. That's the reason. I don't know how else to come up with it. That's the reason. But this lady just keeps going on about how, oh God, millennials don't read newspapers. I mean, they don't read the classics anymore. They don't read the books. She does go into triggered and safe space things on college campuses about how, millennials get all hung up on books that have the slightest bit of controversy. While I don't know how to put this, while I agree with her on this, I still, in the broader context of this article, it just looks like piling on, or you're just looking for any reason to hate millennials. There's even another part of the article where she talks about an Ed Sheeran song where there's a line in it that says, "Darling, I will love you till we're 70." And she goes off about how, really? Only 70? That's as far as millennials can look forward to, these days? People live much longer than 70. It's a fucking song! Like, why? Why do you care that much about what songs millennials listen to? I just don't understand why we're so offended by millennials, or why, the whole part of the whole thing of this article I look at is, oh, things are changing, and it scares you. And I understand that. I can understand that. But that doesn't mean when something scares you have to hate it. And you have to be so angry about it, or let it affect you so much. I mean, listen, maybe she doesn't feel this way. Maybe this article is just all meant to get a click or a like, or get some asshole on a podcast to talk about it. But I like to think that if people write something, it's genuine. When I do this show, it's genuine. I'm not putting on my feelings for ratings or listeners or anything like that. It's completely genuine. If you agree with me, great. If you don't, that's fine too. I don't, I can understand that. But this lady just seems angry over nothing. And again, this whole article is about millennials ruining the workplace or the workforce. And she does start to get into some of that about how millennials now want to have offices that, have ping pong tables in them and beer and so, and snacks and, all the cool things you see on movies or in the tech world that all these guys have that would actually make a workplace fun to go to. I have not experienced that. I wish I could have, or I wish I could, but I have not experienced that. But so she says that millennials are killing the workplace because they demand these things. They also demand an open floor concept in their workspace, so everybody's on the same playing field, and there's no a senior person in your company gets this office and somebody else gets that office. Okay. Again, there are plenty of places out there. I would say most jobs out there don't do that. My job, there's an office for my boss. Most people out there, they have offices for their boss. So nobody's killing anything. You're just getting me to click on your shitty article. There's a real struggle for me right now whether I want to post this article on the website and post a link to it so you can go read it, because I think it's worth reading only because this is kind of a how-to of not to act, at least in my opinion. The past couple weeks, I've talked about controversies with the NFL and all that kind of shit, and the more and more I look at all of these divides that our country and society has right now, and people hating groups and groups hating each other, and the more and more I look about this and I read about it and I start to do my own self-reflection when it comes to this, I think it's just fucking ridiculous. It's ridiculous that we're letting that get to us. That I'm pissed off because someone's taking a knee. That's just the most recent example. Or I'm pissed off that somebody says Merry Christmas instead of Happy Holidays. I don't know who these people are that are offended by this stuff. I mean, there are a lot of vocal people that are offended by people taking a knee at this point. But okay, be offended by it. That's okay. And I've said this before. Be offended, but get over it. What does it do for your life to be offended? What does it do? What positive effect does that have on your life to let something that offends you take over your life and thinking? I don't know. But let's move on. All right. So what else are millennials killing? Millennials apparently are killing the dinner date. I'm reading about how millennials are quote unquote killing the dinner date. And it's not that they're killing the dinner date. It's things are evolving. And if people don't want that to happen, okay, I understand that. But it's evolving, and it's not just a movement of dinner dates are terrible and nobody should do them anymore. No, what's happening now is dating is become more accepted and more prevalent online, which is good. I never had the opportunity to date online. Or I shouldn't say I never had the opportunity. I could have, but it just never worked out that way. I met Mandy, and as they say, the rest is history. And before that, I dated some people that I met organically and not online. But my point is, online is now a great way to weed out, I guess would be the right term, but weed out potential suitors. And that's fine. That's fine. Me personally, I don't see a problem with it. So when you start doing this, so now you're streamlining the process. No longer do you have to just go out to a bar, get sloppy drunk, and hope for somebody to take you home. Now you get online, you get on Tinder, you get on Grindr, you get on Match.com, eHarmony, whatever you want to do, and you can sort through people without having to waste your time and possibly get a sexually transmitted disease. I don't see the downside in that. But the thing about it is, you can only get so much information online, and spoiler alert, people lie. So when it comes to millennials killing the dinner date, well, no, they don't want to commit themselves after meeting somebody online, somebody you've never met in real life, to a full dinner. I mean, listen, how terrible would that be to go out on it, get somebody, you meet somebody online, okay? You're on Tinder, you swipe right. I think that's how it is. But you swipe right, you take somebody out, you get to dinner, and it is just awkward. I mean, it's going to be awkward anyways, but it doesn't move on from the awkward to, okay, like we have shit we can talk about. No, it goes on to just silence, just sitting there. Well, you're fucking trapped because you order drinks, probably order an appetizer. Now you got an entree coming. You're trapped there for potentially couple hours, maybe, depending on the restaurant you're going to. Now, maybe millennials should start taking them to fast food. Maybe that's the answer. But I think a lot of these first dates are taking place at going out for a drink, going out for coffee, going out for whatever. But they're not committing themselves to a whole date for fear that very scenario could take place. And I don't blame them. And I don't think that's a terrible way of doing it. So they don't want to go out to dinner on the first date. And that's really what that article focused on. I don't think they're saying that they're not going out to dinner anymore. But are millennials killing the dinner date? Maybe. Is it a bad thing? I don't think it is. At least for me, I don't think it is. Moving on. Millennials are killing cereal. You heard it. Cereal. Millennials are killing cereal. God damn it. My Lucky Charms. No longer will I ever have those because millennials are no longer eating cereal. Oh, except, well, that's not entirely true. So I'm reading another article about, and these are all from different sources. So I tried to spread out the love a little bit here. But this article is about how millennials are killing cereal. And this one was kind of a reaction to a New York Times article that suggested that millennials are no longer eating cereal for breakfast because they are too lazy to clean up afterwards. That's right. As far as I understand, maybe I'm doing something wrong when I eat cereal. As far as I understand, there are two utensils that come with cereal. There is a bowl to put the cereal in and the milk, and a spoon to dispatch said cereal to your fucking pie hole. If there's any other apparatus out there that I am not aware of, maybe a special dispenser that you need to wash afterwards, I don't know. But that doesn't sound too fucking hard to me. Even if you don't have a dishwasher to wash a fucking bowl and a spoon. I don't know. But so this New York Times article suggested that, and this article pretty much said, well, that's bullshit. That's not why millennials aren't eating cereal anymore or eating cereal for breakfast. Really, it is that, and we're talking about Americans here, but about half of Americans do not eat breakfast. Breakfast remains the most skipped meal of the day. Okay? So it's not just millennials that aren't eating breakfast much anymore. I really don't eat breakfast a lot anymore. It's not it's not because I don't want to clean up a bowl and a spoon. It really is because I'm not a huge cereal fan, so maybe I'm part of the problem. I get very tired of cereal. I need a lot of variety in what I eat, and breakfast, while I do love breakfast, there's not a whole lot of variety in breakfast as far as, different types of cuisine that you can have for breakfast. It's really, you can have your eggs, you can have pancakes, you can have waffles, cereal, granola bar, yogurt, fruit, whatever you want. So I don't eat a whole lot of breakfast, but that's really the point of this is millennials aren't killing cereal for breakfast. They're just not eating breakfast. And to be honest with you, I've seen a bunch of restaurants pop up that focus on cereal. I think in New York City, there's a restaurant specifically just for cereal, and you can get, you can mix them. You can get fruit added to them or probably other shit. I'm not 100% sure. So people still love cereal. It's just people are eating less breakfast. So is it really that millennials are killing these things, or is it just we need something to get clicks on our websites? Because dickheads like me don't read the newspaper. So journalists are online and they need a catchy headline to bring people in. I can understand that. Doesn't make it less shitty, but I can understand that. Moving on. The last one I really want to talk about, because this one kind of struck me as humorous as well. Millennials are killing the American dream. That's it, folks. Pack it up. This little experiment we had called America, well, didn't work out so well because of a generation of people are killing the American dream. So, hey, we had a good run. All right. America was pretty good there for a while. I mean, there's some dickheads out there that took a knee during the national anthem, but other than that, things were pretty good. Also, some assholes keep saying happy holidays instead of Christmas, Merry Christmas. Besides some of those little stumbling points, America was pretty awesome. But thanks to millennials, the American dream is over. it's hard for me to even get all of that out without laughing. Because and so I'm reading this article that shows that 48% of millennials think the American dream is dead. So because they think the American dream is dead, they're killing it, right? Yeah, that seems right. But maybe if you look into why millennials think the American dream is dying, you may look and say, maybe they have a point. Maybe it's not necessarily that the American dream is dying, but there are some things that can change that might make the American dream a little bit more possible. I mean, everybody now kind of goes with baby boomers have killed the housing market. It used to be true. It used to be true that back in the decades past, we'll just go decades past, somebody could work one full-time job, still own their own house, own a car, have a family, and they would live a comfortable life. That was the way it was when I was a kid. But anyways, as we look at it now, it's hard for millennials to own their own houses because they're in so much debt. I mean, if you look at it, adults now are entering their lives with, dare I say, a crushing amount of debt. I mean, you have colleges that are insane. I mean, it's no secret that millennials after college are living with their parents longer. I lived with my parents longer than most people. But I want to get back to this article because the point of millennials killing the American dream is how they want free stuff, basically. And my God, it's so terrible that the millennials want free healthcare and they'd like some help with college. I mean, damn, they're real assholes for wanting those things. I can't believe that that's the case. For me, when it comes to healthcare, I think it's a no-brainer. I don't think people should be crippled in debt because they get sick. And if my taxes have to go up because Bobo gets sick, that's fine. And when it comes to college too, we pay for kids' schooling K through 12. At this point, why do we not pay for college as well? At least some. Listen, I don't think we should, I don't think necessarily maybe we need to foot the bill for Harvard, but a community college, when college is so necessary for the workforce at this point, why are we not continuing that tradition of giving people the education they need to enter a workforce and get jobs, have families, pay their taxes, and live that American dream? So really, are millennials killing the American dream? No. It is the economics of living at this point that are killing the American dream. The American dream is not dying. It's shifting. But people want to write articles and be pissed off at the younger generation, as it is always gone. Listen, old people are always pissed off at the younger generation. In the 50s and 60s, it was rock and roll. Older generations, it's the devil's music. I don't get it. Well, how did that turn out? In the 70s, it was people protesting the Vietnam War. Young kids, they don't get it. We need to go out and fight these wars. It's un-American. Well, what was it? No. So, it's just old people being old. And hopefully, whenever I get to be old, hopefully I won't be as crotchety and hate on everything, and things won't scare me so much. That's really my hope in life. I don't want to be scared so easily.
End times with Travis.
So for end times today, I'm going to circle back to an earlier podcast that we had. At the beginning of the summer, we did a summer blockbuster episode about all the movies that were coming out this summer. And really, it was an opportunity for Bobo and I to kind of bet on how we thought some of these summer blockbusters were going to do. If you haven't listened to it, I suggest you go back and listen to it before you get to this end times, then circle back around and because I'm going to update us on how we did, because all those movies that we talked about are now out of theaters. We can pretty much go with how they did. So let's go over these a little bit. I'm going to start off with Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales. The prediction was that it was going to do 159 million. And this is all domestically. So Bobo, his prediction was it was going to do over. His prediction was it was going to do 200 million. My prediction was also over, and that it was going to do 170 million. It actually did 172 million. So Bobo, you're wrong. I was pretty right on that one. Only $2 million off. But where I wanted to kind of look at some of these, because the budget for Pirates was 230 million. So you probably say to yourself, oh, well, they spent $230 million to make it, and they only did $172 million. It's a colossal flop. Unfortunately, they may still keep pumping out these shitty movies, because worldwide it did $794 million. That's before they get to DVD sales and stuff like that, although I don't know how much that market is really holding up anymore. So Pirates of the Caribbean, Bobo was wrong. I was right. I just want to keep saying that. Moving on to the Transformers The Last Night. The prediction was that it was going to do 167 million. Bobo said over 180. He went to 180 million that it was going to do. I said under. It was going to do 160 million. We were both wrong. It was certainly under. It was $130 million on a $217 million budget. However, that piece of shit did $605 million worldwide. So while Americans may not be liking these terrible movies that are coming out, the rest of the world does. The other one was Dunkirk, and this one we had a hard time with because this one wasn't a sequel or anything like that. But the prediction was 175 million on this. We both said under. Bobo went 125 million. I went 100 million. We were both wrong. It was 185 million was the box office gross for that, which I was very glad to see because I would like to see more original movies come out instead of all these goddamn sequels that we're getting. But good for Christopher Nolan. The next one we had was War for the Planet of the Apes, another sequel. The prediction was 178. Bobo was over. He said it would make 220 million. I was under. I said it'd make 165 million. I was right with under. It actually made 146 million. So again, I'm right. Bobo's wrong. We also did the Emoji Movie. The prediction was 230 million on this. Bobo was under, and so was I. He said 130 million. I said 200 million. It actually made 84 million. Whoops. That again, not a bomb because it only cost 50 million to make, and worldwide it's 179 million. But damn, they were kind of overhyping that one. We also had Spider-Man: Homecoming. The prediction was 240 million. Bobo went under. He went 220 million. I went over and said 250 million. It actually made 330 million. So again, I was right. Bobo was wrong. I wish he was here so I could rub his little face into it. But I'll just have to settle for sharing it with you guys. We also had Wonder Woman, which I think we all know did really well. The projection was 340 million. Bobo was over. He said 350 million. I said under at 300 million. Unfortunately, Bobo was right. It was over. It actually made 411 million. And that's just domestically on a 169 million budget. That was a great one. Baywatch was another one we did. The projection was 127 million. Bobo went under. We both went under. Bobo said 50. I said 25. It made 58 million. So Bobo was closer. So again, he was right. Blah, blah, blah. Hope you're rotten hell. But the other one we had was The Mummy, the Tom Cruise movie that looked fucking terrible. The projection was 143 million. Both of us went under. Bobo had 70 million. I had 65 million. And the actual box office take was 80 million. So we were both right with the under. The last one was The Dark Tower, the Stephen King movie. Projection was 140 million on that one. I kind of got talked into going over with him. We both went over. He went 300 million. I went 200 million. When I checked, it had only made 49 million. So we were both way off on that one. So that's the wrap up on the summer blockbuster movies. If you went and voted, see how you did. The number is 747 banging 747-226-4464. You can leave us voicemails. You can leave me texts. Anything you want. Tell me how I'm doing. Tell me if you agree with me. Tell me if there is something that millennials are actually killing. I think the answer may be Applebee's, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But I want to know if there's something that I missed that millennials are actually killing that actually matters. The poll this week is going to be, are millennials actually killing things? Do you agree with this or do you not? You don't have to give me specifics on that with the poll. You can just give me a blank yes or no. I'll have that up at pwthepodcast.com. You can go and hit us up on social media. Follow what we do. If there's anything special coming up, we kind of announce it on those. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. It's all PW the Podcast. You can search for us. We're on YouTube if you'd like to listen to the episodes on there. So there's many ways to find us or find me. And I really do appreciate you continuing to listen. I appreciate the feedback. So keep it coming. And we'll see you next Tuesday.